Hey Tony, it's Friday, and yes, I have a baby Yoda on my shoulder, and he is the best that ever was. So it was a gift. It was a gift Taylor got from Aunt Karen, and he's adorable and great, and I love him, and I look forward to putting him in like a place of honor in our apartment. So first off, to answer your question of the week, Tony, I'm not nearly as concerned about the impeachment hearing as you are. I don't think it's going to start into. I don't think it's going to create a second civil war. I just I see that being an issue more in the future. I've mentioned before to other people that I fully expect a Donald Trump victory in 2020 while the economy stays good. If the economy just has a total downturn within the next couple of months, then okay, then we might be talking about Donald Trump not winning the presidency. But his base is too devoted to him, and while the economy is good, I truly believe that it's going to be a victory for Trump. Now, what I'm more concerned about is when he's forced to step down, because I think there's going to be a constitutional crisis. Because I have a hard time believing that he's going to walk quietly into that good night. I expect him to like try and change the Constitution to have more time, or basically try and change something to make it so his children get the spot. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even want to start to predict it, but I'm a little more concerned for 2024 than I am for 2020, all in all. So what I want to talk about this week, though, Tony, is I want to talk a little bit about mental health because it's something that mental health issues are in many different varieties and many different symptoms and everything. And there's no real easy answer as to whether someone is or isn't mentally unwell. And that's mental unwellness can be anything from depression to anything else, but it's something that is a struggle. Now, I know I personally have a couple issues as far as my mental health goes. For one, I'm an absolute perfectionist. If something if I mess something up, it frustrates me and I tend to hyper focus on it. And I kind of just like keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to try and get better, realizing full well that it's doing nothing for me. And even worse, it's making my life actively worse because of it. It's something I wish I didn't have as much of an issue with, but it's something that I really have no control over. Um, Another thing that I know I personally struggle with is is the downward spiral issue, in which if one thing goes incorrectly, it tends to lead to other things that just completely downward spiral. And I've done videos on this before on how it just escalates into something that's just obscene and just stupidly obscene. Of oh, if I am late this day, then this will happen, and then that'll happen, and this will happen, and eventually, it always ends up with me alone, tired, and just non-existent within the world. Meaning like I'm underneath a bridge in a box, which is it's not likely. It's very unlikely that's going to happen, but it's still something that it the downward spiral tends to go to. And one other thing I really want to talk about is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is something that I struggle with, Taylor struggles with, many people who are very close to me struggle with. Imposter syndrome, in a very loose term, is basically when people say these things about you and you don't believe it. Frequently, it's
Yes, I feel attacked.
yes, I feel attacked too. Like what it frequently is, particularly when it comes to like me, just for an example, is I will tend to think that I am not a good person, that I have many things going on, and that I'm really just hiding my bad tendencies underneath a facade of being a good person. And that's just not true. With Taylor, some of the issues tend to kind of go more with like people love Taylor, people are drawn to Taylor, but Taylor tends to think that like eventually people are just going to realize that no, that this is not who people are going to realize that's not who I really am, and they're all going to leave me. It all kind of goes hand in hand. It also frequently goes hand in hand, imposter syndrome, with separation anxiety, because one of your greatest fears is ending up alone with no one around you. And it's hard. It really is hard to get around these, but it's what we have to do. So Tony, my question for you is, do you think you have any mental health issues that you struggle with? Tony, I'll see you on Tuesday. Later, bro.